I have a number of tube portable radios to work on, but I thought I'd pick one that has the most common circuit and the most common tubes, and that turns out to be this GE tube portable radio. My first step is to check all the tubes in the radio, and I'm glad to say that all the tubes in this radio are good. The next thing I do is to check all the coils, the continuity of all the coils in the radio, and I left the tubes out of the radio because it is possible to burn out a 1.5 volt filament with an ohm meter. Here's the wiring diagram of the radio, and I have supplied a link to this wiring diagram so you can download it also. And the first thing that I checked in this radio was all the way over to the left, and that was the antenna. And then I checked the oscillator coil, and then the first IF, then the second IF, and then the audio transformer, and all were good. So now we're good to go to start repairing this radio. Here's the chassis before I've done anything to it. And here I have started cutting the capacitors that I can get to the easiest, so I can get to the capacitors that are buried, and I'll replace those first. Here's the wiring diagram, a close-up of the power supply, and this is where I'm going to start working. This is the selenium rectifier in the wiring diagram, and here it is in the chassis. Those are usually bad. I'm not going to test it. I'm just going to replace it. Also, a part that can fail quite often is this resistor shown here in the wiring diagram. Here it is on the chassis, and underneath the chassis, it's hard to see here. You have to look on either side of the audio transformer. That's the connections for that wire wound resistor in the power supply. Here's the electrolytics in the wiring diagram, and here it is on the chassis. And this is where it is under the chassis. Here is the connection between the common ground and chassis ground. And this is where it is physically. I've already opened up the capacitor. You can see that it was connected to the arrow that's pointing at the top there at that terminal, and that screw is holding the selenium rectifier on. Well, that screw is actually the chassis ground, and the resistor is the other part of that circuit. So the resistor and the capacitor were connected to the terminal, and the screw that goes through the terminal is connected to chassis ground. Of course, that makes the other end of the capacitor and resistor the common ground. I will continue to take lots more pictures and some more video as I progress with this repair. Thanks for watching.